Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My female 48, father, 74 male, and I had a rocky relationship since the beginning. He let his mistress chase my mom, 69 female, away while pregnant with me, 6 months pregnant. And before that, he went to get cigarettes and disappeared for 3 months. They were married. This fact has been confirmed by family members and himself, who calls it a youthful mistake. He liked to degrade my blue-collar mom. When my mom found success years after the divorce, he took his jealousy out on me. He had 2 children with his mistress, and then they broke up. I suffered from poverty shaming before my mom became successful, to humiliating me because my maternal family does not have a long line of college graduates, to openly telling me that my sister Kay, female 45, and brother Kevin, male 48, yes, we have the same age because the mistress got pregnant the same time as my mom, were better than me, and that I was hopeless and would only make a living if I married into a wealthy family, to using me as a caregiver and leaving me the only kid without a present on Christmas. He paid no child support, but did pay for my siblings because his ex would put him in jail. They both went to Ivy League schools. I tried to have a relationship with my siblings, but their comments weighed on me. As kids, they celebrated that he left my mom for theirs. Karma. My mom remarried a wonderful human being, and she's all alone. As adults, they called me a tart. One time, Dad tried to cut my hair because my sister didn't have long hair. I'm very successful now. My work got noticed 15 years ago, and since then, my career changed. I tried to keep a civilized relationship with them all. My father sold me on my sister being extremely successful and making lots of money from investments. I had no reason to doubt it. My brother has a good career. I struggled with imposter syndrome in the beginning because they were superior. My father just recently emailed me what basically sounds like instructions on how to pump up my sister's career. I have access to all of what he's asking. Go to the news outlet and get an interview for my sister. Engage a marketing company to get the word around. Get her a gig with your clients. When I asked who would pay for it, he said, just ask for an exchange. My sister called me and I clarified. She got so angry she kept hanging up and calling back. I found her blog, and I'm shocked to learn that she hasn't had a real job, apparently, and I'm puzzled because I know for a fact that she graduated from her Ivy League. I did further research and found out that she has only done some work for her mother, but she has no actual job history, doesn't seem able to keep a job, and my dad has been supporting her all her life. She called me selfish and a money hoarder. I fired back and called her a loser and said I will never help her because she's not employable. I feel guilty because I have no right to call her a loser, regardless. Maybe I should have just ignored her. Am I the a-hole? I will say first and foremost, OP's dad is the most massive a-hole in this entire story, and it is because of him that OP has, what appears to be, such a bad relationship with her siblings. OP's sister does not seem to want anything more than a career boost, given that she just expects OP to tout her resume, or lack thereof, around. OP worked hard for her success. OP has a reputation. OP should never be expected to do for family at the potential expense of her career. OP's sister is a loser because she decided to be nasty to OP instead of asking nicely for help. I dislike my older sister B and niece N. It was a hard pill to swallow, but it is what it is. I just don't like them. So I am not sure whether I overreacted or not. Background: B is separated, not divorced from her husband after N was born, due to them cheating on each other, and brother-in-law married another woman and having a son on that family. B cannot tolerate the other family because of the money brother-in-law gives each month for N. She takes money for our parents as well, saying the money only comes in a few months. She has the whole single mom with a deadbeat husband facade on the whole time, even though rest of the sisters and mom is the one who takes care of her daughter. Food, bath, study, etc., etc. The only time she become the mom when niece is getting reprimanded from her bratty tantrum, 'cause it's hard without a father in her life. On to the incident. I haven't got out of the home ever since B called the parents of the kid I taught, demanding them to fire me due to the ongoing issue. I was complained to my parents. All I got was, "She is older, she knows better." Ever since that 5 month, I have been in my house, more specifically in my room, all day. I was getting bored out of my mind eating the same homemade food that I cook, so decided to make something special using the money I saved up. I brought 2 kilograms of chicken with other stuff to make a whole chicken barbecue. It took 8 hours with all the preparation and everything. When it was cooked, I left it to rest in the kitchen, telling everyone not to cut into it before I returned from the shop to bring some additional stuff needed for a side dish. It took hardly 20 minutes to bring the stuff, but when I went to the kitchen, half of the chicken was gone. Then I saw N sitting on my room eating the piece with B on her mobile. I scolded her for taking without my permission. She began yelling at me, saying N was hungry and couldn't wait. How could I be so cruel to make a fatherless child starve? That it was pointless for me to practice cooking because no good man will marry me anyway. I was seeing red. I screamed at her that her brat was fatherless because she couldn't keep her legs closed from other married men. And what her daughter has been going through is karma. And I had standards, unlike her, who took whoever came her way. I gave her 1 day to cook the same dish, otherwise I will take double the cost. The ones who was there is livid with me for bringing up her past, but she just brings out the worst in me. Did I overreact? N was not in the room during the argument. Edit. The reason I said it was karma, because she broke up 2 family with 5 kids in total between 2 family, just because she wanted to show her husband. One of them was her former best friend who was pregnant at the time and lost the kid because of the stress, and she laughed it off, saying it wasn't a big deal. I know I shouldn't have dragged N into, but it's frustrating to be forced to partially raise others' kids, which I didn't ask for or took responsibility for in the first place. Why should I pay for a kid that isn't mine? Because family. Edit 2. Some clarification. Niece was not in the room during the argument. The only thing she heard was her mom calling me a greedy S, dog effer, etc., etc. Peachy stuff. Sorry, English isn't my first language. Before the marriage and during it, B had a best friend, T, who was married to a handsome rich guy according to B's description. Once brother-in-law caught them texting on phone about God knows what before the whole cheating on each other drama started. He warned her to stop contacting him because he didn't like the guy. So when brother-in-law left the country again for his work, they had a massive fight. Maybe about being jealous or something like that, I don't know. And B left home after breaking her mobile in anger. 1 month later, one of our acquaintances called our mom saying B was in their house. Everyone questioned her about where she was, but she said nothing except from blaming brother-in-law. Ever since then, she became super protective of her phone. One day, T's parents came banging into our house with her husband's phone, which contained semi-in full of vids B had sent and recorded during their stay in another city as a honeymoon. Worst part, she was wearing some of my clothes, so they thought I was his mistress too, and got 3 slaps before getting away from them. Fun times. Anyway, B called T's husband, complaining, who sent T, who was 3 months pregnant, back to her parents. I don't remember if he got physical with her or she lost the baby just by the stress of everything and leaving 2 of her kids on her husband's home. She was already frail, so her health got very bad. So when people found out, I was B in school for being a W from a house full of W. When I screamed at her for ruining my reputation and T's life, she laughed it off, telling me to grow a thicker skin. And no, she didn't face any consequences herself. After that, she went into having another affair with another married man, who was married to his childhood sweetheart, with who he had 2 sons and a daughter. After the wife caught them, no remorse. When I told my parents she is having another affair, I was scolded for lying and not to be so vindictive for her past mistake. And for why I said it was karma. She keeps complaining to anyone who have ears that the other woman stole her daughter's father. How he neglected his own flesh and blood for a cheap W for no reason at all. Her word. How she was so loyal, yet he left their daughter and devoted wife for someone else's used stuff. How hypocritical of her to blame the other wife and the son for what is happening to niece when she herself did far more worse to 5 innocent kids herself. So she should be the last person who should shed crocodile tears about how unfortunate her daughter is when it was direct result of her own action. Slight, yes, the a-hole, but only because OP took out her frustrations towards her niece. She didn't ask for a mother who is an absolute entitled and a cheater. I think what OP is trying to say is that everything her niece went through was a result of her sister's actions. It's clear that OP has been disrespected. OP has been forced to put up with the consequences of the actions of her older sister and her ex-husband. I'm sure it's got to be frustrating, and especially when parents take her side. Sadly, OP won't be reimbursed for food. OP needs to find a way to move out and go no contact with everyone. So, my sister and I had really bad acne when we were teenagers. Even though our mom had acne just as bad, she has very bad scars from it. She was less than sympathetic and wouldn't get us any medication for it. My dad didn't want me to end up badly scarred, so he took me to the doctor and got me on meds that really helped. My sister ended up never getting medication for it, and as a result, her face, back, upper arms are severely scarred all over. Even though I did get medicated, I still had some bad scarring, although not nearly as bad as her. Even though my scars are not as bad, I am still very conscious about them. I recently got some money from some of my dad's relatives. I used part of that money to pay for laser treatments to reduce the visibility of my scars, and it helped tremendously. They're still there, but now barely noticeable. A couple of weeks ago, months after the laser treatment, I used the rest of the money to buy myself a new car. I was excited about it as it was my first car, so I posted a picture of it on Instagram. This didn't seem weird to me, as my friends make posts like this all the time. My sister was at first very excited for me too, and we made plans to meet up and go on a short trip to the beach. We don't go to the beach often because before we would have to take the bus. During the trip, she noticed my face and arms as I was wearing a tank top. At first, she must have thought it was makeup because she asked what I was using because it looked really good and she couldn't see my scars. That's when I told her about the laser treatments I had months ago. We got to talking about it and what it entailed. She sounded very interested until I told her how much it cost. She asked how I could afford it. She knows I don't make a lot. And I told her about the money I got from my relatives and how I also used it to buy my car. She got quiet after that. Eventually, she said she didn't feel well, and we ended the trip early and I drove her back home. She was hard to get in touch with after that. When I eventually got her on the phone, she said she was upset because I didn't think of helping her out with getting treatments during those months after I had seen how well the treatment worked for me and before I got the car, when I still had more money. She brought up her scars are worse than mine, so I should have understood how she must have felt worse about hers and helped. She also basically called me spoiled because my scars weren't even that bad since my dad paid for meds and that I didn't need the treatments. Then, that I got free money from my family that, in her words, I wasted on a new car I didn't need just so I could brag about it online. Then, she ended the call by saying she didn't want to talk to me for a while because of this. Edit. So, my sister is technically my half-sister. We have different dads. The family that gave me money is my dad's family. Second edit. I also am a she, not a he. Not the a-hole. From what it sounds like, OP and her sister have the same mom but different dads. If that is the case, it is not her responsibility to pay for her medication or give away part of her inheritance. She isn't his child. Would it have been a sisterly thing to do? Of course. But ultimately, OP is not responsible for getting cosmetic procedures for her sister. My best friend Kara died of breast cancer 2 years ago. We were best friends for nearly 30 years. I was closer to her than I am to my brother. There are no words that can truly depict our bond. We dated for a year in college before we broke up. This is relevant later. Her husband John was convinced that I had always been in love with Kara. This is completely untrue. As we grew up, I viewed her only as a sister. His proof was that I'm still single. That's not because I was pining for my best friend. It's because I'm overwhelmingly career-focused. I can't emphasize how much of an a-hole John was while Kara was alive. He left all the chores to her, even when she was exhausted from chemo. He was emotionally neglectful to her and their daughter Mia, 12, 13 then, 15 now. He would start arguments about random crap and then spend days outside the house. I don't know if he cheated, but I do know he started dating this W just 2 months after Kara died, and he married her, so I love Mia like my own daughter, and we're extremely close. I try to go to all her important events, take her out on Aunt and Mia days, tell her stories about her mom, and generally spoil her. Her father is a loser beguiled by a W. He forced Mia to accept a new stepmother and step-siblings half a year after Kara's death. Mia's half-brother was born 5 months ago as well. They have been erasing traces of Kara from the home, which I know is incredibly upsetting for Mia. When she needs a break from them, there is a room dedicated to her in my home. John is struggling financially. I don't think he realized how much I subsidized their lifestyle, or that I'd stop now that it's just him. Their quality of life far exceeded their income, which John forgot. I spent around $50,000 a year on their household, not including Mia's college fund. I don't mind spending that much money because Mia is the sole inheritor of my estate. So either the money gets spent on her now or when I'm dead. I think John is facing pressure from his wife and stepkids because I'm spending the money directly on Mia instead of their entire household. This means Mia has a much better quality of life than her step-siblings. In an attempt to sever my relationship with Mia, John told her I was only getting close to her to take advantage of her, with my past relationship with Kara as proof. I can't even begin to tell you how disgusted I am. Mia didn't believe him, so now he's posting on Facebook and telling people I'm financially manipulating his family and Mia. I work a status-based career, and those rumors could seriously damage my reputation. I plan on filing a defamation lawsuit against him. I have good lawyers, and he has no money. He'll bankrupt himself fighting it. My only concern is that he's still Mia's father. Would she be distressed if her father became seriously financially crippled? Is it moral to potentially financially ruin a family with a newborn? Edit. For clarification, I'm a woman. I forgot to include this in the original post, but we sent a cease and desist letter last week while he was posting on Facebook. He stopped posting, but I've been sent screenshots that he's telling people the same stuff privately. He deleted the public posts, but didn't retract anything. He's telling people I'm threatening to sue him because I want to shut him up since he's right. I should have added that in, but I'm basically asking if I'd be the a-hole if I proceeded to file the lawsuit now. Wow, this is a lot to unpack here. What kind of father uses these kinds of manipulations on a child, let alone his own child, because of his greed? This is absolutely disgusting. He's consciously making every effort to destroy OP, her relationship with a young girl who literally just lost her mother, and OP's ability to make a better life for this girl. He wants to hurt OP's career and OP's ability to make Mia's life better. I can honestly say that I don't think OP would be an a-hole at all. But I'd also maybe look into if he's doing any further damage to that poor girl, and if she's suffering more than just emotional abuse from him and his new family.